Hopefully we'll go into 8 to 10 races and beat the snot out of them, whose new group, Defending Main Street, aims to raise $8 million to fend off Tea Party challenges against more mainstream Republican incumbents. I think it's pretty clear which side of the aisle he's on. In the year that he stepped down, since he stepped down, he has emerged as one of the top generals in the establishment Republicans' war against the Tea Party. And that was from a source that wouldn't really be considered conservative, the New York Times. Again, the Main Street Partnership's effort to raise millions of dollars to protect centrist Republicans from Tea Party challengers. Interesting to note, it has also helped draw clients to a separate lobbying office Mr. LaTourette and his wife have set up across the street from the Capitol. And my recollection is that when he stepped down, he wasn't going to be a lobbyist. At least for a year, because he wasn't allowed to be a lobbyist for a year, but he's setting it up to do that. This is another interesting comment, that his group believes in the government's ability to solve problems. If you don't like the problems government's created, wait till you see their solutions. I think we've got a little bit too much government going on, and we need to back off on that government. Again, he wants to challenge or to protect the incumbent moderate Republicans. And he says that they want their party back. I think they've kind of got control of it, and they're concerned about losing the control of it. Now, we get to some of the connection here. The Main Street Partnership has in its membership 52 House Republicans and 3 U.S. Senators. According to the New York Times, all 52 House Republicans and all 3 Senate Republicans are centrists. Centrists would be moderate, and if Steve LaTourette is defining them, they could perhaps even be liberal. And its bills are paid by corporations, lobbyists, and other donors who each pay dues of up to $25,000 a year. Now, do you think that they contribute that money and don't expect anything in return? Now, I may contribute $25 or $50 to a candidate, and I really don't expect a whole lot in return, because for $20 or $50, you don't get much. But if I'm contributing $25,000, I might be expecting something. Now, technically, LaTourette is not registered as a lobbyist, because there's a 1-year ban on congressmen from becoming lobbyists after they leave Congress. But I think that time period will have expired by now. But interestingly enough, his wife and his former legislative aide registered as lobbyists for McDonald Hopkins Government Strategies, the new Washington subsidiary of an Ohio-based law firm that Mr. LaTourette established. So while he himself was not the lobbyist, his wife and a former legislative aide were lobbyists. Now, there's not that much of it. I mean, it doesn't take too far to go from Mrs. LaTourette to Mr. LaTourette. And if one has influence, perhaps the other does as well. He further described his firm's assignment, and this is really important, as finding approximately 20 House Republican votes for his clients. His clients are the ones that are donating the money. The minimum count needed, along with the Democrats in the House, to get legislation his clients want passed. There are 193 or so Democrats in there, and so you need about 20 Republican votes to get things passed. And interestingly enough, his lobbying firm is at times targeting the same lawmakers that his group is helping to stay in office. He's targeting to get bills passed, to get their vote from the ones he's helping to stay in office. This is not a complete list of the Main Street Partnership members, but the 3 senators are listed at the top. Perhaps you've heard of at least 2 of them. Anybody ever hear of John McCain?
Yes.
Is he your most conservative senator? I think when he was running for president, I think he was referred to as moderate. Mark Kirk, I think he's from Illinois. Susan Collins from Maine. Anybody hear of Susan Collins? Now, next to those names up there are 2 percentages. The first one is their Heritage Action score. Their second is their Freedom Works score. Again, these are on a scale from 0 to 100, with 100% being the most conservative, 0% being the least conservative. And they don't score on every bill, but in this particular case, the numbers we're looking at for Heritage Action, there are 30 bills how they voted on. And they're bills that deal with conservative issues. So McCain was at 43% in one and 48% in the other. Susan Collins, 28% and 23%. Then we have 4 representatives, congressmen from Ohio, who are all part of the Main Street Partnership. So they are our current Congressman Dave Joyce, Bill Johnson, Jim Renacci, and Mike Turner. Now, of those 4, Dave Joyce has the distinction of having the lowest score of any congressman from Ohio in the Heritage Action score. He's at 46%. Mike Turner just edged him out with 48. They were tied a little while ago, but they must have voted differently recently. Now, for comparison purposes, the average Republican House congressman has a rating of 65%. So that's the average of all of them. The average Republican senator has a rating of 67%. You may notice that, with the exception of Jim Renacci, those average scores, those are for Heritage Action, they're all below the average, and Renacci is just at the average. Now, for comparison purposes, we have some folks up there that are not members of the Main Street Partnership. And my guess is they would not want to be. Senators Mike Lee and Ted Cruz are not members of Main Street Partnership. Matter of fact, they might be targets at some point of Main Street Partnership. But their ratings are 100%.